Today we're going to talk about you and your prospective sellers. Those ones that are on the fence, those sellers that are like kind of waiting for just to see how things change or what's going to happen. But what we want to do is we want to help you give your clients 5 reasons to sell right now. And I think you're going to see after we go through these things that these are some really good points, and you're going to be able to share them with your clients and probably jog them off the fence a little bit. What do you think, Jason?
I do. I think it's super relevant for right now.
So if this sounds interesting, then stick around because I think it's going to be a really good one. I am excited about this show.
Yeah, me too. I think it put together some good content.
Definitely. And if we can get through it quick enough, we're going to not only give you some good content, we're going to show you how to make it really actionable, because that's really what this whole thing is about. I mean, the goal here is to help real estate professionals do better. We want to provide quality, actionable content, not just some good ideas, but we want you to be able to sink your teeth into some of these things and go, hey, I can actually do this, And trust me, if me and Jason can do it, you guys can do it. No doubt about it.
I am committing to not talking too much. All right. Let's see if it works.
We'll get right through to it. So we're going to be talking about 5 reasons to sell now, but it's not just, it's us controlling the narrative, right? You as a real estate professional probably have a lot of people in your database. You have a lot of people that you're rubbing shoulders with. You're talking to people every day that are saying, hey, how's the market, whatever. And they're just not sure. We have a shortage of inventory. We know that. No matter what you do, it's like we can't get them to nudge. Maybe they're not being educated enough. These are things that you as a real estate professional, these are 5 things, and we may even include a bonus, but these are 5 things that you should really be pushing this narrative in a professional and gentle, but but still assertive, right? You got to get out there and assert yourself. These are 5 things. I was going
to say firm, but assertive.
Firm. That word works, because there are at least 5 good reasons to sell right now if you're a seller, and if you're a real estate agent working with some of those that are on the fence, these are going to be some things that are going to really be good in your tool belt. So let's just start with the first one. The first reason why it's a really good reason to sell: prices are at an all-time high. Dive into this one, Jason.
Yeah, I actually had to Google this one because I did not believe this when I saw, a couple different news articles, because I felt like 2006, 2007 was insanely high, and it is absolutely correct. We are, as a nation, we are at our highest median price point ever. And so this, I think, is a simple one on the surface. A lot of people want to know, hey, when are we at the top? Well, we don't know. We can never know. But what we can officially tell you is we are at the top, or the highest point we've ever been. So if you were to sell now, you can at least guarantee yourself that you are selling at the highest median price point ever.
Right. Those are real stats. I mean, my goodness gracious. Prior to 1995, the annual appreciation was 4%. And why do we use 1995? So, okay, let me go back for just a quick second. You and I were talking about this backstage. What is a normal market, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we are definitely not in a normal market. I mean, the dictionary says that normal is conforming, normal is standard, normal is characterized by that which is considered usual, typical, routine. We are not in a normal market. So we're not normal. Those of you who think you might have missed the boat because you're hearing that, the market is reverting back to normal, based on the definition that I just gave, it's not a normal market. But when you think about what normal is for the real estate market, you've got to be looking back like 2015 to 2019. This is pre-pandemic. Mm-hmm. Well, at that time, the national average, according to NAR, National Association of Realtors, was 4%. Well, now, according to NAR, we are going to hit nationally 14.1% this year. I mean, in our area, if we can talk California just for a second, it's in Southern California, Southwest Riverside County. Just like I said in last week's show, we're up 21.1% in 1 year, 21.1%. So I believe every word that you just said, Jason. We are at the highest it's ever been. Unbelievable. So that's a very good reason. And you can't take for granted that every seller knows that this is the highest that it's ever been. Some sellers are actually waiting for the market to get as high as it was before the crash. Correct. They don't realize that we've already passed it. We're already at the new highest it's ever been.
Yep.
So that's something that you definitely need. That's a message that you need to get out there. Oh, I want to address this one thing real quick too. I hear people say that they're waiting for the peak of the market. The peak of the market. Of course I'm going to sell, Bryan. I'm just waiting for the peak of the market. Well, when's the peak of the market? You have to understand that you have to be able to tell your clients in no uncertain terms that you, as a real estate professional, you have tools to maybe do a little bit of forecast and to use logic and to use, your years of experience and to tap into the various articles and things like that we read to stay on top of it. You cannot know what the peak of the market is until it has already passed.
True, but we are at the peak right now, and we could be at the peak next month.
That's right. A new peak.
Right.
But everyone's waiting to sell their home at the very peak so they can just feel like they didn't waste it. They didn't leave $1 on the table.
Yeah.
Your sellers have to be reminded that the only way to know when the peak is to really know when the peak was. So you're looking at homes in your neighborhood are selling for $650,000 right now. They're closing escrow. Well, next month and the month after and the month after, they're closing for 640, 630, 612, 622, whatever. You see that you can look back now and go, oh, that was the peak. Right now, we know we're peaking. People are thinking we're normalizing because we're not going up as fast as we're still going up, but it's starting to level off a little bit, which tells us we are kind of coming to the peak. But I can't tell you when the peak is until after it's already happened. Then it's kind of too late. So this is really
chasing the market.
Then you're chasing the market. I can tell you when the bottom of the market was for real estate in Southern California, because I can look back and tell you and I were selling REOs at the time. The absolute bottom of the market was September of 2009.
Yep.
That month, September, because everything was going down until that time. It kind of stayed right around there. And then in October, prices started to tick up a little bit. And then they went slowly higher and higher and higher until where they are today, the highest they have ever been. So for those of you listening to this on a podcast, we're just going to spell each one of these out for you. Number one is prices are at an all-time high. That's the number one thing. The number two thing, inventory is low. And that means there's less competition. So if your sellers are going to sell, this is a great time for them to sell. They don't have as much competition. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, this is one area people don't realize they're actually saving some money as a homeowner, because typically what you would do after you live in a house for 5, 10, 15 years, you do quite a bit to kind of spruce it up. Right now, because of the lack of competition, as a homeowner, you don't have to do quite as much to get your house prepared to sell. So you're saving a little bit of money, bringing the house to market. Mm-hmm. And it not to say you don't want your home to show well and impress, but you don't have to go to the levels you've gone to before. So
exactly,
less inventory means more money in your pocket right away, right off the bat, because you just simply don't have to do as much to get a house ready anymore.
That's a very good point. You don't have to spend money on new carpet and dialing in the counters and spending a lot of, not just in repairs but upgrades, right, to get that dollar.
Right.
So wow, very, very good point. Inventory is so low, less competition, more buyers. It's a very, very good time. Let's talk about absorption rate for just a quick second. We as realtors, we like to, throw around jargon like absorption rate, things like that. You don't need to do that to your clients unless if they're techno weenies, then you can throw that jargon at them. But absorption rate, as we know, is basically it refers to the number of months that it would take, assuming that all listings stopped today, the amount of months that it would take for all of the current listings to absorb into the current buyer pool. That is the absorption rate. So how long does that normally take? In a healthy market or a standard market, remember, we already defined standard. We are not in a standard market. In a standard market, that's 6 months. Can you believe that? A standard market is 6 months. Actually, 4 to 6 months. So I would tell you right now, if I listed a house and it took 4 months to sell, I would be blown away, because even in our REO days, we were selling homes a lot quicker than that. But that is the standard market, nationally speaking.
Yeah.
As of the latest study from NAR, the current month supply across the country is 2.6 months. No, I'm sorry, that's the supply of inventory is. I think I need to read this. Hold on a second.
Yeah, while you do, locally, just to put it in perspective, we're sitting at about 5-6 weeks. A month ago, we were at like 3 weeks.
It was the current. I'm glad I was doing this by memory, but now that I'm reading it, it's 2.6. So across the country right now, it's 2.6.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it just seemed really high, but it is. So here in California, it's 0.33. 0.33, which is 20 days. It's 0.33. That's our absorption rate. So if there wasn't any listings, everything that's out there right now would sell in about 33 days. That's crazy. So if that doesn't speak, just using absorption rate to where inventory is and how low it is, I mean, those are, that's staggering. That's why it's a really good time for your clients to hear that it's a good time to sell, because there's not a lot of inventory. So consider that one. Okay, number 3, because we want to keep this thing clicking along. Number 3, buyers can afford the higher prices, because we just established that this is the highest it's ever been.
Yep.
But buyers aren't backing down. They don't need to back down right now, Jason, because the rates are so low. Now, you're a full-on numbers guy. Talk to us about low rates and what that really means. I mean, because buyers are not freaking out over these high prices because they can afford it.
Yeah. Well, when you take out the luxury market, and I don't bring that into the equation because it kind of always is its own market.
Yeah.
Even when markets are up or down, it kind of operates at its own pace, and it is what it is. Most people, I mean, when you refer somebody to your lender and your lender sits down and starts talking with them, and they pull credit and they look at their debt and everything else, they're looking at how much are you spending monthly on a car? How much on your credit report is showing in revolving credit, things of that nature, because what they're doing is they're establishing, obviously, how much monthly payment can you spend on a house, right? They need to figure out your debt to income ratio. It's not based on a purchase price. It's based on a monthly payment for the house. So when you look at how that kind of correlates, and let's just take like portions of our market. If I'm at a 2.75% interest rate as a buyer, and I can afford $2,700 a month. I don't care if that's $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. I just know I can afford $2,700 a month with 10% down. Right now, if you're at about 2.75%, that's about $500,000 in our market. Well, if in 45 days that becomes 3.5%, I still have to stay at $2,700 a month. That's now $465,000. That's a 7% shift.
Wow.
Right? So with rates being as low as they are, a homeowner, a potential seller, needs to understand how much, and as an agent, we need to be able to demonstrate like that real quickly, how much that actually correlates to. 7%. I mean, a potential seller.
That's huge. 7% is huge.
Yeah.
So when we talk about rates, and that's another thing that people are always looking for. I just want to wait for the rates to get lower. They've seen them so low and they're just like, oh, I think they're going to get lower. Right now, according to my research that I did, that I actually received a really cool email from Inman that gave me a bunch of different helpful links. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. I'll put all those links in the description. But right now 2.87 is, the average, right around 2.87,
Yeah.
which is very close to historical low. Considering like in the 70s, it was 8.6. In the 80s, it was 12 something. I believe in the 90s, wasn't it around 9%? Around 9%, something like that. The first house I bought a house in 1992, and we got a smoking rate. We even got like a Cal half a loan. It was 7.4%. And everyone was like, how did you get such a low rate? So when you look at what rates are today, on average at 2.87, and I personally have a 30-year mortgage at 2.6. So things are really low. So yeah, you have a lot more spending. Buyers have a lot more spending. So if you're a seller and you're afraid to sell your house because things are so expensive, like who can afford it? Well, they can afford it because the rates are so low. So let's just jump right in. Oh, go ahead.
Add one more quick thing to that, because I already know the objection from a homeowner. Rates won't go up that fast. If you go back and all you need to do is look at from the turn of 2018 to 19, the mortgage industry, they really tried to push rates. Well, obviously the Fed, everybody tried to push rates. Rates were in the high threes.
Yep.
And their goal was to push them to 5. They went from like high threes into not even the mid 4s. And if you look, there was a period of time, late 18, early 19, where our market kind of came to a stall very briefly for about 45 days until they dropped rates back down into the high threes. And what happened? The market exploded again.
Yep.
And so, as a homeowner, if that question is thrown out to you as an agent, just go back to 2018, 2019 to show what that did to the market, because they're not, if they feel they can hike rates quickly, they will. Banks lend, they're not our friend. They like to make money. They have not made money for a long time. At some point, if they can and they think we can stomach it, they will absolutely do it to us.
Yeah. You're so mean. You're so mean to banks.
I know. Sorry.
Very good points. Okay, so number 4 in our list of 5, and we are going to give you a bonus at the end of this, so we're just going to call this 4 or 6. But number 4 is buyers are easy to negotiate with. I think this is a really important point, because you think about, there's a lot of advertisements out there about sell your home for cash and this and that and the other, and take all the hassle out of it. And a lot of the hassle that they falsely build into the selling process is that, you're going to have to deal with buyers, and buyers, they're demanding of this and they're demanding of this. And, by the time you're done, you're going to have, $10,000 in repairs, and you're not going to have to pay for that if you sell to us lowball, whatever. Look, everyone talks about buyers being tough to deal with in the purchasing equation, because in a buyer's market, they will jerk you around like crazy, and they will, make you fix this and fix that. And they're not just asking for lender required repairs. A buyer's asking for, new drapes, because those are dirty, or whatever the situation is. They're ballsy when it's a buyer's market, but it is not a buyer's market right now. So buyers are accustomed to not asking for repairs. They're easy to push over right now. So if you're a seller, this is the perfect time to sell your home, because a buyer is just going to say, yes, whatever you need. Yeah, I got it. No problem. Yep. That's good. I'll take it.
And typically in the past, in the conversation we've had even with our clients is, okay, this is the price. We need to get to this price to open escrow, because we know they're probably going to ask for a carpet credit. We know they're probably going to come back and complain about the sod that the dog's torn apart.
Yep.
They're probably going to come back and, they already want termite, a Section 1 clearance. So that's another $2,500. You can very easily lose 1% to 2% of your sales price in a normal buyer's market once inspections take place. So that's another conversation we can have as agents with our sellers, is right now, even the price you get up front, which is the highest it's ever been.
Yeah.
We're also in like the easiest, not the easiest, but buyers are conditioned right now. They just know not to ask for those things. So in addition to getting a bunch of money up front, you're also saving probably 1% to 2% in escrow that you would typically lose if we were in a buyer's market.
And let's not forget about the hassle of moving. If you're selling your house, geez, where am I going to go? Well, you have so much of an upper hand right now in this market. it's not uncommon to negotiate up to 29 days where you can stay in your house for free, close escrow on your house. A buyer will let you stay there. It's called the seller in possession. Mm-hmm. We see it time and time and time again. So if that right there makes this a great time to sell if you're a seller. So agents, Absolutely. Make sure you're reminding your sellers that, it takes a lot of pressure off them when they might need a little bit of extra time to find their home. This is a great market because it's so hot for sellers that you can get a couple of free months, maybe even stay, or a very small, tiny amount of rent back. So I think this is a really good one and very motivating for sellers on why it's a good time to sell, and that is buyers are really easy to work with. Should we move on to number 5?
Let's do it.
Number 5, the speed at which homes go to escrow and actually close. Because houses can go to escrow, really fast in a lot of markets, but to actually close, meaning that there's no lender issues and stuff like that. I'm finding right now on all of our deals that whether it's cash or whether it's financing, lenders are stepping up to the plate right now and they're getting deals closed. I'm not seeing a bunch of, ridiculous overlays that are, killing deals. I'm not seeing it's true that a lot of properties are falling out of escrow, but they're going right back into escrow and closing. So sometimes there might be a few days delay, but what are your thoughts on that? What are you seeing?
Well, one thing that's unique right now is, if you go back to, we've talked about our REO run and people didn't have a lot of cash on hand to put down, but now we're in a market where people have sold, they have a lot of equity. Equity is the highest it's ever been. Yeah. So, people are able to come in, they're putting enough down where appraisal waivers are becoming very common. Mm-hmm. The only thing that really holds up a transaction right now is when you have to have an actual appraiser go out to a house. A lot of them are booked out 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So if you're putting down 20% and you're buying in a, let's say a development that's kind of like a track, odds are that, I think it's almost like 1 out of 3 homes are eligible for an appraisal waiver. If you get an appraisal waiver, in this day and age, and an inspector who can get out and knock out an inspection in the first week and there's no major issues, a 3-week escrow is easy.
It's easy. Even I'm seeing 3-week escrows on our VA buyers.
Yeah.
Like they're pulling out all the stops. How they're doing that now, it's beautiful and I welcome it, but it's still hard for me to believe. Even though I've been doing this for so many years, it's just incredible. Yeah. The speed at which things happen, if you're a seller, or I should say, if you're an agent working with sellers and trying to get them off the fence on listing, you should be able to convey to them that, look, not only is, prices at an all-time high, not only is inventory at an all-time low, right? Not only is it really affordable for buyers to pay a high price because of low interest rates, and not only are buyers easy to negotiate with, but more importantly, we can do it all quickly. Right. It's all going to happen so fast, right?
Cash in hand.
In fact, it's going to happen so fast. It's probably a good thing, going back to number 4, that buyers are easy to work with. You're going to get an SIP. You're going to be able to remain in possession a little bit after that sale to kind of buffer how fast things can happen right now. So I think if we get those 5 out there to the world and really control that narrative, I think a lot of sellers will be more willing to, they're ready to move. They're thinking about moving in the next 2-3 years. For those sellers that you have that are thinking about moving in the next couple of years, well, move that up a little bit. If you're going to move, do it now, because all indicators are that this is a really, really good time. So what about that bonus one that we've been sort of hinting about?
Hit me with it.
I'm going to hit you.
You've been seasoned with it since we started. So
I'm going to hit you with this one. And I almost didn't want to put this in because I hate even the word. So maybe we'll just call it the C word, but it is COVID wild card.
Dun, dun, dun.
Another reason it's probably a good idea to sell now is because, look, every time I turn on the news, they're talking about a new variant. They're talking about a new, a potential problem. They're talking about more of this, less of this, more. It's just scare. And I'm not gonna I'm not going to say that this isn't real, but we could get back into real pandemic mode. And you and I were talking earlier, Jason.
Yeah.
The pandemic that happened in 2020, for some reason, and we all know now, looking back, it really helped the real estate industry.
Oh yeah,
it really did. A lot of people moved around, and it was incredible, and prices went up. And but do you really think if we have another shutdown that that's going to happen?
No, I think that was kind of a perfect storm. Inventory was really just kind of bottoming out. Rates obviously were still low, and then people were stuck home. So everybody wanted a bigger house because kids were basically homeschooled, right? Everyone was working from home. But you have to look at like the psyche behind it. I think most people really believed, oh, this is going to be a couple weeks, maybe a couple months at worst, right? Yeah. So let's do this. And also the timing of it was, hey, we'll have our new house as the kids are getting out of school. We'll be coming out of this pandemic and everything will be normal and summer will be incredible. I think if you really look at it, if we get back into that mode, I think we stand a strong chance of the opposite mindset happening. And that is,
me too.
Man, maybe this is just kind of how it's just going to be for the foreseeable future, whether it's a year or two, or maybe just this is just the new normal. You know what I mean? So I think it can very quickly, it has the same potential, I guess is the best way I could put it. Just as it really helped our market, it has the same potential to be equally as damaging.
Exactly. I feel the exact same way. I feel like for all the reasons that were the perfect storm, we really just kicked butt in terms of real estate during the last pandemic and the shutdowns. But it could very easily have the opposite effect. So I have a feeling there might be a few savvy investor style sellers out there that are thinking, hey, we might get shut down again. And look what happened last time. It could really push me over. I can get even more money for my house. I think that's way too risky. I think the opposite could easily happen. And in my opinion is it will. I think it's going to slow things down. I don't think it's going to crash us.
No,
but I think it's really going to slow things down. So,
I agree.
So, look, we like to be the kind of show that has, more than just bullet points. We're giving you 5 here and a 6th as a bonus. But how about being able to apply these things? We're talking about getting this message out to your clients, right? So how are we going to do that? If you're an agent and you've just learned, 6 things that are really the good narrative to have to get your clients off the fence and perhaps even create clients and have people come to you to list their homes based on this information. How are you going to get that information out there? So let's run Can I just learn how to talk for a second? Let's run through a few of these things to get this message out. How about using your database, your CRM?
Yeah.
You probably have a ton of people in there. Create, a mass email to all of your past clients that might be on the fence. Your sphere, everyone that you know. How about a 5 email series, right? That goes out every single week. And just tell them over the next week, I'm going to share with you, this month, I'm going to share with you 5 reasons why you should sell your home, and just create, an email series. What are some other ideas you have, Jason?
Yeah, and with that, this is easy. If you don't know what to tell them, literally take these 5 we went through, you re-record your own version and do a 5-week series. So you're just each week in front of people. If you have done a lot of farming, I think get with your title rep, get a list of emails of people in your demographic farm where you're mailing to. Yeah. You can put them into Facebook if you want to make a video series, or if you want to make a series of posts, you can kind of retarget and remarket directly to them. That way you're conveniently placing these 5 reasons why you should consider to sell now in front of them.
Yep.
That's pretty inexpensive way to get in front of a lot of people.
Yep. How about old school? How about postcards? I'm sure you're sending postcards to your database. Instead of sending them once a month, send them once a week for a month. Once a week, just with all these 5 things on why it's a good idea to sell your home now.
And each card could be one of them. Again, and each card could direct them to a landing page where these videos are placed. You were actually talking about a real content-rich landing page. You had a good idea. So
we have what we call a benefit-rich URL. Instead of theourteam.com, if you want to find out why you should sell your house right now, go to theourteam.com. That's not a benefit-rich URL. You have to have a benefit-rich URL would sound more like what they're going to get when they go to the page, like why I should sell my home right now.com. Create a benefit-rich, why sell my Corona house now.com, if that's your marketplace. And then create a landing page that has all your videos on it that you're going to do, that has information on the local market. That just create a place that you can drive traffic to, so that you can be the expert in this field. I mean, it does take time. If this is not in your wheelhouse, then hire someone to do this for you. Replay this recording and get all the data, tweak it to be more like you. We're not the end all on we're not orators here, perfect in all that we do. There's probably many of you that are going to hear that say, wow, I can really clean this up. And please do.
Yeah, please do.
But I'll end with this one. A video series. Do a video series. I mean, we're talking about 2-minute video on each one of these 5 things. And, now you have a video series that you can email out, that you can have on Facebook, on Instagram. You can plant it out on YouTube forever. And now you have a real video asset that you can refer people to. There will be a time when this is not the message, because we're going to be in a buyer's market. So you can remove those, or you can edit those videos later to be something different. But, those are a couple things that you can do to get this message out there. The postcards, the videos, the series, the direct mail, the text campaigns to your database, your sphere. Just do it. Do something. Get the message out there that now is a good time to buy. You got to tell your clients that. So
do something. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't walk away from this and not do anything. Like, at least do one thing.
Exactly.
At least do one thing.
You have questions or comments, or even if you have concerns about this show, and that's whether you are listening on, watching this on YouTube, listening on our podcast. By the way, our podcast is everywhere. If you just, maybe this is a rerun, you're watching this later. We are live on Facebook, but this video will be out there that people can watch. So at some point, when you see this, if you hear our voices, just know we're very easy to get a hold of, and we love helping agents. So no strings attached. Just reach out to us. Thanks for joining us, guys. We will see you next week.